Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Ba-dum-ba-da-da-dum-bum. Da-dum-da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Tresleches. Hey everybody, welcome back to Smart Cookie. I'm your host, Elise Mayfield, and we are about to make a tresleches cake. The first step to this is a really simple sponge cake, so we're just gonna dive right on in. You know, just get in there and make a cake. Real easy. First thing, AP flour. AP just stands for all purpose. You know that because you're smart. You're a smart cookie. I've only had 1 cup of coffee. We're doing great. The first thing you need AP flour, baking powder, gotta have some salt. Just gonna whisk our dry ingredients together. Now we're just gonna start on all the wet ingredients for the cake. And the first thing we need is, how many eggs do we need? 6? Are there that many eggs? There sure are. I even wrote this recipe. It's fine. 6 eggs. That was an awkward way for me to get that. So now we're just gonna add our sugar to our eggs. Let's add some vanilla and some coconut extract because we're not making any old plain tresleches cake. We are making a coconut tresleches cake. We are making a coconut tresleches cake because I think coconut is delicious. So, whisk it up. I like this orange mixer, this is nice. I don't know, so like coral colored? It's an orangey coral. Now we're just gonna add our flour mixture and we're gonna alternate that with some melted butter. Some butter. All right, this butter is kind of cold, that's fine. Not the prettiest looking melted butter, but it's gonna get the job done. Isn't that usually what happens? It's not the prettiest, but it works. We're just gonna put the rest of it in there. Stop looking at it. So, cake batter, it's done. See, so easy. This is gonna be a really dry cake, kind of dry, eggy cake. And that's exactly how it's supposed to be because we're gonna let it soak overnight with tresleches. How many leches is that? 3. Killing it with the jokes. You don't have to tell me, I know. So we're just gonna pour our batter in. Maybe not pour, plop? Is that the right word for what's happening? Cake batter, making a cake for you. Now, I know this looks like lumpy and bumpy, but in the oven, it's gonna smooth out, so have no fears. It will work out just fine. Like most things in life, if you give it a little time, it will be okay. Like my philosophy on everything else in life, it's fine. All right, so now we're gonna put this in the oven at 350 for a half hour. Easy peasy, here we go. Look at that, one hand, huh? Great, let's skip to the end of the recipe because who's got time to wait for that to bake, huh? The cake's done! Oh my goodness, it smells, this is gonna sound weird, but it smells delightfully eggy. And I know that sounds weird, but it's a good thing, I promise. Oh my God! I set off the fire alarm, shit! Play some music over the top of that. So I just brought it out, look at that. See, I told you it would kind of smooth itself out while it baked. Perfecto. Now we're just gonna let this cool for about a half hour, only because I don't want you to put a hot cake in your fridge because I don't want your lettuce to wilt or something like that. So instead of putting a piping hot pan in your fridge, you're gonna wanna let this cool for about a half hour, and then we move on to the next part. Now we have some fun. We are gonna poke this cake full of holes, just full of them. So we're poking holes in this because we're gonna pour this combination of 3 milks, which is why it's called a tresleches cake. And this is gonna help all of those milks just soak into this cake. And now we're gonna make our tresleches mixture. So since we're making a coconut cake, we're gonna start with some coconut milk. This is gonna sound delightful, I can already tell. Oh, that wasn't so bad, okay. Coconut milk. Then we're also gonna use some evaporated milk, and we're gonna use some sweetened condensed milk. Oh yeah. Ooh, smart cookie fact of the day. Did you know you are 10 times more likely to be killed by a falling coconut than you are to be attacked by a shark? True fact. Don't be afraid of the ocean, is what I'm trying to say. And speaking of oceans, that is how coconuts actually move their seeds across the ocean because coconuts are water resistant and super buoyant. So the coconuts will fall off the trees and then float through the ocean to the other islands and then plant themselves. Amazing. So now we're just gonna pour this over the top of this cake. We're gonna go slowly so that it has time to soak to the bottom. If your pan looks like it's getting a little full, have no fear. You can always let this soak for a little bit and then come back and pour more on top. Now, you could let this rest for only like an hour, but Smart Cookie's recommendation would be that you let this soak overnight. And if you need to add more liquid, you can. Up to you. Live your life. By the time you get ready to serve this the next day, all of that milk is gonna have been absorbed by the cake and it is gonna be so yummy, I promise. Okay, so this is gonna go fly away. I'm gonna cover it in saran wrap, put it in the fridge, and then we'll bring it back later. Now that we have let our cake cool overnight, it's soaked up all those delicious tresleches, we are gonna make our topping. We are about to make coconut whipped cream. So all I'm gonna do now is I'm going to scoop the cream from off the top of this can. Oh yeah. Look at the inside of that can. See, that's coconut water. They're totally separated in the can. So we're just scooping the top part out. It doesn't look pretty, but it does mean you can do cool things with the coconut cream. Ah! Everything's fine. This episode's a disaster. Can we just move on? We're moving forward. The fire alarm's gone off. All right, we got our coconut cream in. We're just gonna add some sugar. And then we're gonna, yeah! This is a fantastic alternate to traditional heavy cream. If you have vegan friends and you're looking to make a vegan dessert, you could definitely use this as a frosting. You could use this as a frosting or a substitute for whipped cream. Look at that, it's like whipped cream. Very cool and super easy. So, of course, because Smart Cookie is prepared, we've already baked one of these guys. It's soaked overnight, look at that. Boom! We are just going to put our coconut whipped cream on top. We're gonna sprinkle with some toasted coconuts, a little bit of salt, some lime zest. Hey, let's just put some coconut whipped cream on top, huh? Sounds good to me too. Smart Cookie, fact of the day. The word coconut comes from a Portuguese word for a monster that they named Coco. It was a bunch of Portuguese sailors who discovered these coconuts and they thought that the dimples on the coconut kind of looked like a face because there are 3 dimples on a coconut with like a hairy face like a monster. So they started calling it Coco after this mythological kind of children's scary story about the Coco monster. And then when it got to England, the English were like, I think it kind of looks like a nut. And then it became a coconut. Final steps, all we're gonna do is sprinkle with a little bit of flaky sea salt, and then we're gonna do some toasted coconut chips. Oh yeah. Final step, because you know, we're already in kind of a tropical theme. Let's just add some lime zest on there, huh? Well, let's see if this works. It doesn't work. Nothing in this recipe works. Maybe everyone shouldn't make this cake because it's difficult. Oh, don't say that. Yeah, coconut. This has definitely been on set the whole time. That's our tresleches cake. Now you can just cut this in squares, serve it to your friends, your family, for a festive holiday. Now it's time for the true test. It's time for a taste test. Let's do this thing. It sounded very threatening. I didn't mean it like that. Look at that beauty. Gorge. That's what you're looking for right there. Should we taste test it? Gonna get this little guy over here. Oh no. Come here, cake. Trying to get away from me. So it's absorbed all that milk. It's really flavorful. It's actually not super overwhelming on the coconut front. And that salt is really nice on top with all the sweetness. You got your crunchy coconut, your lime zest that kind of like brightens up your palate. I'd say that's a winner right there. If you enjoyed this video, make sure that you like, share, subscribe, comment, ring the little bell on YouTube, and we'll see you next time on Smart Cookie. Goodbye! Topo Chico, I wish I had tequila. Mmm.